Hello again, Bruce Marshall from Emerson Swan, and I'm here today to talk to you about a way that you can save your customers some money on their fuel bills. And I'm talking about outdoor reset. I have a product here manufactured by Taco, and it's called the SR501OR for outdoor reset. And it's nothing very complicated. It's a simple switching relay, which you're all familiar with, but it has outdoor reset built into it. Now, outdoor reset is not a new concept. In fact, it's been around since the 70s, back in a time when fuel prices were high. And today, fuel prices are still relatively high. So this is something that you can install very easily in your customers' homes to help them with these fuel bills. So let's take a look at the FuelMizer and see what it's all about. When we take off the cover, we see that it's a simple single zone switching relay with a difference. It has outdoor reset built into it. It functions just like any other switching relay, needs 120 volts to operate. We're going to attach our thermostat lead and our aquastat lead to the terminals on the FuelMizer itself, and we have a terminal on the bottom, a line voltage terminal for a circulator, so that you're able to run a circulator off this if need be. And we have an end switch which goes to your boiler TT. Now this is where your original thermostat wire or whatever was starting your boiler went to. We're now going to place that onto the FuelMizer and go from the FuelMizer to your boiler TT, in effect putting your FuelMizer in between your boiler and whatever was starting it. The FuelMizer comes with an indoor sensor and an outdoor sensor. The outdoor sensor is placed on the north side of the house in the shade, away from any sources of heat, and the indoor sensor is placed on the supply pipe coming out of the boiler. The adjustments are quite simple. The control will default to 180 degrees at the design outdoor temperature which you set. Now this control can be set from anywhere from -30 to +40, but the recommendation is to set this at +10 Fahrenheit. And that means that at 10 degrees Fahrenheit, your boiler is going to make maximum hot water, the hottest water that it can make. That will be maximum temperature, and everything over 10 degrees will be a lower water temperature. In addition, there are some very simple programming controls. We have three little dip switches, and one of them, the first one, will not allow the boiler temperature to go below 140 degrees, and this is for your non-condensing boilers. However, if you are going to attach this to a boiler that condenses, then you have the ability to let that temperature drop all the way down to 70 degrees. We have another control switch which will give you two choices on differential, 10 degrees or 20 degrees. And then finally the third switch operates the pump, and it will let the pump run with a heat only call or a heat or domestic hot water call. So depending upon how you're configured and what you're attached to, you would manipulate these switches. Now this control will work on any hydronic application, that's any hydronic boiler, with an indirect water heater attached to it or a separate standalone water heater. This will not work on a boiler with a tankless coil. Now here's what this looks like in your existing system. You have your existing control, you might have an indirect on there, and you have thermostats controlling the relay, and when we get a call for heat from the thermostat, this is what happens. We send a signal directly over to the boiler, and the boiler ramps up to the highest temperature it possibly can, just like it was the coldest day of the year. And our circulator comes on at the same time. When our indirect calls, then that circulator comes on and the same thing would happen. The boiler would run to its maximum temperature. The boiler would be running like it was the coldest day of the year, even though it's far less than that. And the fact is that you really only need that type of temperature water, that high temperature water, 5 to 7% of a typical heating season, which means the other 95 to 93% of your heating season you can get away with less. So if we install the FuelMizer in this existing system, the system is going to still function with the same level of comfort, but using less fuel. So now the sequence of operation would look like this. And we get a call for heat from our thermostat. The thermostat is now going to be connected to the FuelMizer, and the FuelMizer is then going to send a signal over to the boiler, and instead of running up to high limit, it's going to run to a lower temperature, which is determined by two factors, the outdoor temperature and the temperature of the water going out to the system. It's going to adjust that temperature accordingly. However, when our indirect calls for heat, we're sending a signal over to the domestic hot water terminal, which will override that outdoor reset and send that temperature back up to the high limit temperature, so we're able to make hot water. One other feature of the existing control is that you have the ability to prioritize on that indirect in case you want to shut off your heating zone while you're making hot water. Taco has produced a very nice brochure that's directed at the homeowner to describe the benefits of outdoor reset in very simple homeowner language, and it'll explain to them that they can save anywhere from 5% to 30% of their annual fuel bill, with an average of 14% per year. These brochures are available to you simply by contacting Emerson Swan, and we'll be happy to send them to you, as many as you want. So we've talked about how the FuelMizer can save your customers money on their fuel bill. But this is also eligible, because it's an outdoor reset, for utility rebates in many states. So consult with your utility to find out if these rebates are available. Thank you.